Hello, BookTube. This is Weekly Reads. I've had a pretty good reading week, although not free of regrets. So I started the reading week with two books on Tutankhamun that I was sent in the mail by Steve Donahue. Tutankhamun was an Egyptian pharaoh. He was one of the last pharaohs of the 18th dynasty, and the discovery of his tomb a century ago ignited Egyptomania and Tutmania, and it's never really faded. So I started the weekend, over the course of this past weekend, I read The Complete Tutankhamun by Nicholas Reeves. This is a large, lavishly illustrated introduction to Tutankhamun. It gives a brief overview of ancient Egypt, of Tutankhamun, a bit more attention to the search for his tomb, the excavation of his tomb, the condition of his body, what grave goods were in the tomb, that sort of thing. The book's a really good introduction to Tutankhamun studies, but Reeves is not free of flights of speculative fancy, which can spice up an otherwise dry and by the numbers narrative. And a lot of writers on ancient Egypt do tend to, in one way, shape, or form, engage in, or maybe many, these speculative flights of fancy. So Reeves has a few. One is recent studies on Tutankhamun's body, the ADNA, which is where scientists try to extract ancient DNA. This ADNA has shown that Tutankhamun was likely the son of Akhenaten and a full sister. Although Reeves argues that, well, it could have been a daughter. Reeves also argues that it was Nefertiti, as Nefertaraten or Smenkhare, which were two identities of co-king and successor to Akhenaten, who many Egyptologists now believe was actually Nefertiti, that she was the Egyptian queen who approached the Hittites instead of her daughter and Tutankhamun's queen Ankhesemen, and also that Tutankhamun was buried in Nefertiti's tomb, that there was a whole sort of architecture of kingly and queenly tombs, and that the tomb that Tutankhamun was placed in was actually meant for a queen. And it does spice it up, but it also at points maybe derails the narrative if you're particularly like, I want the facts, I don't want flights of speculative fancy. But anyway, it was okay. I really enjoyed it, and I did write a positive review in Open Letters, because both of these reviews and Open Letters will be appearing sometime. So the second book I read was The Story of Tutankhamun by Garry J. Shaw. So this is a biography of Tutankhamun. This book takes a more cautious approach. Shaw accepts the ADNA and posits that it was one of Akhenaten's sisters who was Tutankhamun's mother, that the tomb was meant for Ai, not Nefertiti, who may or may not still be buried in that tomb. There's a bit of shade thrown at Reeves later in the book. And He goes into what could have possibly caused Tutankhamun's death. So the book sort of starts with the life of Tutankhamun and then goes into sort of what happened after his death, and then it leaps to the search for his tomb and the excavation, and a chapter on the fascination with him. And in that part of the book, there's some sort of, well, what could have killed him? And it could have been everything or nothing. There's pretty much one thing that is clear from this book is that nothing is clear. Because Tutankhamun could have had every syndrome imaginable or none of them. He might have had a club foot, or it could have just been accident that happened when he was being excavated. Who knows? But I enjoyed the book. I mean, I enjoyed both of them. The story of Tutankhamun probably a bit more than the complete Tutankhamun, but yeah. So I enjoyed them both, and if you are interested in Tutankhamun, check them both out. The complete Tutankhamun mostly for the lavish illustrations, which it does have, and the story of Tutankhamun for a more cautious approach that doesn't really engage in the speculative flights of fancy. Now, the regret for my reading week comes after I finish the story of Tutankhamun. I decided to read some poetry collections, and thinking on it now, I probably should have read some manga, but I have this weird hang up that like, when I'm reading manga, I'm absolutely having a blast. I'm loving it. But I don't know. I guess maybe in a way I'm sort of going at my poetry right now because I'm fairly confident many of the collections that I currently have will not be here or won't be in my collection for too much longer. I am feeling a purge of my classics, canonical, modern, and contemporary fiction, poetry, and drama bookcase. So I guess that might be one of it. And also that I don't really have that many manga volumes that I haven't already read. I have like a few volumes of My Hero Academia. I have a few volumes of Naruto. I have a few volumes that I just picked up this past month. So, I mean, I'm not like read all of them, but it's, yeah, I don't have much left that I haven't read. But anyway, so I did decide to read 3 volumes of poetry. So I started with the 2 collections by Austin Smith, Almanac and Flyover Country. So Austin Smith is one of my favorite poets. I really like his poetry. His work is rooted in rural Midwestern America, and they're really good. I quite like them. So I think even if I do a massive purge of my poetry collections, I'm pretty sure I will be keeping Austin Smith. And I also read The Ruined Elegance by Fiona Sze-Lorrain, which I think when I read this like a year or two ago, I kind of liked it, but I can see myself unhauling it. Anyway, so that's what I read this week. So this coming week, I am hoping to get to At Swim Two Boys by Jamie O'Neill. I've been meaning to get to this gay historical novel set in 1916 Ireland for the better part of this month, and I've had it sitting on my shelves for almost 20 years unread. The only time I ever touched it was to move it, to rearrange it, or to do a library tour video. So I either need to finally read it or just send it on its way. So hopefully I will get to Swim Two Boys this coming reading week, although I won't be starting it on Saturday because my reading time on this coming weekend is going to be truncated. So instead, I think I will be reading some manga on Saturday. I'm not entirely sure which volumes. And then, of course, if I have time during the rest of the this coming reading week, I will be reading manga. So I really want to reread some volumes of Magi, the Labyrinth of Magic by Shinobu Ohtaka. I have through volume 8 in sequence, and then it kind of jumps. I'm slowly building my collection of Magi, but it's slow going. A number of volumes are incredibly hard to find. But I am looking forward to rereading Magi, the Labyrinth of Magic. I also am loving My Hero Academia by Kohei Horikoshi, and I've read 5 volumes already, and I've got through volume 11. So I'm definitely tempted to read more this coming reading week. Which I'll probably do My Hero Academia, I think. But how much, I don't know. And I also have Naruto by Masashi Kishimoto. I've got through volume 6, and I haven't read them yet. I've read volume 1, but I haven't gotten to 2 through 6. And of course, all 3 of these are series that I'm currently working on collecting, which will probably be one of my goals for April, is collecting more manga. So anyway, that's my reading plans for next week. As far as booktube videos go, I'm planning on doing some. So I think on Monday I will do a April TBR where I will think long and hard about whether or not I want to continue with some of my reading projects. Because the way things are looking, I'm not really going to be able to read any manga unless there's some bailing going on, which I don't like. So it's something I need to think about. And then on Tuesday, if there's any tag videos that are interesting, I'll do some tags. And then on next Friday, I will do my March book haul. And of course, weekly read. So until next week, BookTube, thank you. Have a great rest of your evening and weekend. And until I see you on Monday, stay safe.